Hello, beautiful souls. Reina here. So, today I just wanted to make a very brief video sharing a really important message. And, as simple as it sounds, it's also simultaneously really important to grasp and understand, right? And it's also quite impactful, despite it being a pretty simple concept once you sit with it, right? And I think the more evolved you become on this path, and the more you do this work, the more you realize and really sink into this feeling, right? And really embody the true essence of the lesson, right, behind this message. And that's that I don't mind what happens. You shouldn't mind what happens, really. None of us should mind what happens for the most part. And not in like a way that you know, you shouldn't care about this could be dissected really deeply, right? It doesn't say that we shouldn't at all care about, the state of the world and trying to make things better and whatnot, right? This is more of a kind of personal way to help you kind of almost like relieve suffering, right? And it's part of the shift into embodying new earth frequency, right? Which is the kind of the end goal here, right? This is the most important aspect of all this work, is to shift into new earth and really understand what it means to embody new earth and to live in new earth, right? So what does it mean to not mind what happens? So this is actually a lesson from one of my all-time favorite books, A New Earth, and I did feel like it just kind of deserved its own video. So I wanted to read a little excerpt on the kind of where this story comes from. So what I have here is that, again, this is from A New Earth, and then I'll kind of go over a little more on what exactly it entails after, but this is the kind of story leading into it. So it says, Krishnamurti, the great Indian philosopher and spiritual teacher, spoke and traveled almost continuously all over the world for more than 50 years, attempting to convey through words, which are content, that which is beyond words, beyond content. At one of his talks in the later part of his life, he surprised his audience by saying, "Do you want to know my secret?" Everyone became very alert. Many people in the audience had been coming to listen to him for 20 or 30 years and still failed to grasp the essence of his teaching. Finally, after all these years, the master would give them the key to understanding. "This is my secret," he said. "I don't mind what happens." He did not elaborate, and so I suspect most of his audience were even more perplexed than before. The implications of this simple statement, however, are profound. When I don't mind what happens, what does that imply? It implies that internally I am in alignment with what happens. What happens, of course, refers to the suchness of this moment, which always already is as it is. It refers to content, the form that this moment, the only moment there ever is, takes. To be in alignment with what is means to be in a relationship of inner non-resistance with what happens. It means not to label it mentally as good or bad, but to simply let it be. Does this mean you can no longer take action to bring about change in your life? On the contrary, when the basis for your actions is inner alignment with the present moment, your actions become empowered by the intelligence of life itself. So again, really the kind of central theme here, right, is this: when you fully step into this place, right, and understand what it means to, again, not mind what happens, you are pretty much indefinitely in this space of inner non-resistance, which is a very important space to be in and to embody. Because when you are in this state of non-resistance, then your actions flow through you in a way that's like aligned with the ultimate, right, with the divine, with these kind of like higher frequencies. And it is very important to be operating from that space. I made that video on the three modalities of awakened doing, and it's kind of similar to that, because being in this space creates that, embodying this lesson really creates that sense of inner spaciousness, right? I hope that makes sense. I think a lot of people can really understand what that means, right? Because you even just feel that energy. Like, what does it, when was the last time you thought that you just don't mind, Like, how'd that make you feel, right? There was no resistance. That's the key here. There is no inner resistance. So I'm telling you right now, and if you don't believe me, just try it out yourself. But when you are constantly in that state of resistance, like next time you find yourself doing anything, right, just in your day-to-day, feel what it's like to constantly be fighting against life and to be resisting, and to, again, basically always be minding and always caring about what happens. There's this like fighting and resistance towards life, and you can never win like that, right? Like you can never succeed, especially on this path, but in life in general, because the thing is like the present moment and circumstances and what we have before us, right? Like it's the isness of the moment. It's just what it is. But the mind, right, the ego mind, the false self, the detrimental part of ourselves, tries to tell us that there is something bad in this, and puts those labels and these mental narratives on these kind of events in our lives that again, we're labeling as good or bad or this and that. And, we're putting all these labels on things instead of just allowing it to be as it is, because it's simply the isness of the moment and of the circumstance and of life, right? It's like, again, this, as I mentioned in the story, it doesn't mean that we don't care at all to initiate change. Like, again, on the contrary, because when you embody what that really means, there becomes this non-resistance, and this discovery of inner space, which is a very powerful space to be in. It's like then you are almost in that flow state, and the answers in a way come to you so naturally and so effortlessly when you are in that flow state, and you're just like allowing yourself to be that channel, right, to kind of solve problems in your life. Again, I hope this made sense. This was a very revolutionary concept for me, because I was always going about my life in this space of, oh, I do care. And it's like you can never win that way, because you're constantly fighting against life. And again, the reality is that will always be the isness of the moment. And you can't change it. It's just the circumstance. So again, the key here is to understand that when you step into this space, you just have this inner non-resistance, that from there you solve problems and find answers and find solutions much more effortlessly. And then you realize, like, oh, this didn't have to actually be that difficult, and there didn't have to be these very intense, intensely charged, oftentimes like negative emotions around this. It actually could have just been this like easeful state, and then you're living more, oftentimes even inspired, right? Like you'd be living then in spirit by creating that inner channel and whatnot. So I just want to share that with you all, this idea of not minding what happens, because once you do, it's like the ego just, of course, it loves to come up every now and then, but it has a hard time creeping back in, because it wants you to fight, and it wants you to resist, and it wants this kind of conflict, and for you to always be questioning why and this and that, put labels. And it's like we'll never understand why something is, because it's the isness, right? But if you want to label something as X, Y, and Z, well, you are, it's going to be hard to win then, right? So again, I hope that it was somewhat illuminating for you all. It just is, I think, really important to really embrace this lesson. It's pretty it can be pretty transformative when you sit with it. So if you are interested, I am doing Dharmic healing sessions, so I am giving out free discovery calls lately. Reach out to me if you need any kind of support. It's going to be really heavy in what I talk about in a lot of my videos, but of course focus on a lot of Dharmic healing modalities like yoga, tantra, ayurveda, yoga psychology. Then of course understanding what it really means to step into and embody new earth as seekers on this path of spiritual awakening, right? And inner illumination. So I love you all. Thank you all so much for listening and being here with me all today. I'm actually in Mount Shasta right now, so I'm sending all of the beautiful healing root chakra energy your way. It is incredibly peaceful and serene here, and I've just been it's really actually been allowing me to step into this space much more deeply and much more profoundly, and really embody again all these lessons that I've been sharing with you all. So that was it. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day, and you adopt a spiritual practice, even if it's something small, for throughout the rest of the day. And we will talk soon. Bye.